Did you know that Spawn's line of promotional toys greatly impacted the action figure industry? The McFarlane Toys Spawn figures featured high level of detail both in their sculpt and paint jobs, unlike other figures around at the time. The packaging of the Spawn toys was also designed to add collector's value to the figures. The Spawn figures came in plastic boxes rather than simple cardboard packaging that could serve as a display for the figure and could also be stacked. Eventually, these qualities became the standard of the industry. The success of the toys may have also influenced the design of Spawn's costume, specifically after his first metamorphosis. It is rumored that his boot was made to be oversized in order to offer a more stable connection point to the figure stands that came with the toys. Spawn, created by Todd McFarlane, was a flagship character for Image Comics, an independent comic publisher founded by a handful of former Marvel Comics talent, including Jim Lee and Rob Liefeld, who felt they were being unfairly compensated for the characters and stories they had created for the company. They instead wanted a label where the creators of comics owned all the rights to the characters they created. Despite this, Spawn has been the subject of much legal controversy. In the original lore of the comics, Al Simmons, aka Spawn, was killed by a CIA agent named Chapel and returned to Earth as an undead Hellspawn. However, Chapel was a character from Rob Liefeld's Youngblood series, a detail that was meant to tie the series together into a cohesive universe, but ended up creating a copyright issue for Todd McFarlane. To combat this, Spawn's killer was retconned to be Jessica Priest in the Spawn feature film, and in the comics as well at a later point. The most notorious legal debacle associated with Spawn is the decade-long litigation between McFarlane and Sandman creator Neil Gaiman. In 1993, Gaiman wrote 2 issues of Spawn and introduced the characters Angela, a bounty hunter from heaven sent to kill Spawn, Cagliostro, a former Hellspawn who acts as a mentor to Al Simmons, and a Hellspawn who fought the Violator in the Middle Ages known only as Medieval Spawn. McFarlane later took these characters and made them recurring integral characters to the lore of Spawn, and featuring them in other media adaptations and promotional lines. In 2002, Gaiman won the rights to these characters in court, which McFarlane responded to by making characters that were essentially knockoffs of the Gaiman characters. In 2012, after years of litigation, it was decided that McFarlane and Gaiman each had half ownership of these knockoff characters, resulting in a decade's worth of compensation for Gaiman. Perhaps not coincidentally, in 2012, Gaiman sold the rights to the character Angela to Marvel, who then introduced her to the Marvel Universe as a member of the Guardians of the Galaxy and sister to Thor and Loki. The names of many characters in the Spawn universe were inspired by real people in Todd McFarlane's life. Al Simmons is the name of a friend and former employee of McFarlane, Cyan is the name of McFarlane's daughter, and Wanda is the name of his wife. Cyan Fitzgerald is the name of another friend of McFarlane. Despite not belonging to the more popular Marvel or DC brands, Spawn has had a number of appearances in other media. In 1997, both an HBO animated series and a live-action feature film based on Spawn were released. Fans of Spawn tend to cringe at the mention of the 1997 live-action movie, but we could have gotten a very different film, as rapper Snoop Dogg alleges he was considered and read for the lead role of Al Simmons. Heavy metal band Iced Earth also approached Todd McFarlane with the desire to do the soundtrack for either the film or the cartoon. After negotiations fell through, the band instead recorded a concept album of songs written entirely about Spawn titled The Dark Saga, even using some of Todd McFarlane's own art from Spawn as an album cover. To promote the album, Iced Earth even performed at comic conventions throughout 1996. One of Spawn's most notable appearances outside of comics and film is his appearance as a playable character in the Xbox exclusive version of Soul Calibur 2. While Link from The Legend of Zelda and Heihachi Mishima from Tekken were included in the game for GameCube and PlayStation 2 respectively, Microsoft did not have a flagship character to offer the franchise. After plans to include a character from the Xbox Dead or Alive series fell through, a deal was reached with Todd McFarlane to include everyone's favorite Hellspawn. Unlike his appearance in the comics, Spawn did not have his signature cape in Soul Calibur 2, as it was apparently too hard to realistically render on the Xbox's hardware. And finally, since Spawn's powers are limited, he will often try to avoid using them unless absolutely necessary. This is evident in Spawn's shoelace face appearance that he had for some time in the comics. Rather than using his powers to heal a wound on his face, he instead stitched the injury with a shoelace. The injury in question was caused by none other than Batman during a crossover issue written by Frank Miller.